This is the hOmeLabs 3,000 square feet Energy Star Dehumidifier. After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. I have been running this unit in my basement for close to 5 years. I bought it after I started noticing that damp, musty smell that shows up when the humidity stays high for too long. I did not know much about dehumidifiers at the time. I just wanted something I could set up, leave alone, and trust to keep the space comfortable without me thinking about it every day. Even though this model is rated for a much larger area, my basement is closer to 700 square feet. I remember worrying that I was buying something that would be too strong for the space, then turn on and off constantly. In real use, that did not happen. When the basement is actually humid, like after heavy rain or during those sticky summer weeks, it will run steadily and bring the humidity down. When the air is already dry, especially in winter, it barely runs. That has been one of the main reasons I have been comfortable leaving it on automatic operation for long stretches. Physically, it is a pretty simple-looking machine. Mine is white plastic with a clean front panel. It is not something I would call stylish, but it also does not look out of place. It is about 2 feet tall, so it takes up some floor space, but it tucks into a corner easily. The part I appreciate most is that it is easy to move. It has side handles and wheels, and that matters more than you would think, because you will eventually need to pull it out to clean the filter or to reroute the drain hose. Build quality feels fine for normal home use. The plastic does not feel like industrial equipment, but it has held up. No cracks, no leaks, no rattling panels over time. It has been bumped a few times while I was rearranging storage, and it never gave me problems. I also like that the bucket slides in and out without feeling flimsy, even though I personally do not use the bucket much. Setup was straightforward. Out of the box, you basically have 2 choices. You can collect water in the tank and empty it, or you can run a hose for continuous drainage. I tried the tank early on and it confirmed what I suspected. In a damp basement, the tank fills up quickly and you end up emptying it more than you want to. So I switched to continuous drainage and never looked back. For my setup, I run a standard garden hose from the back of the unit to my basement sump system. Once that is in place, daily life gets very simple. I do not have to remember to empty anything, and I do not have to worry about the unit shutting off because the tank is full. Using it day to day is mostly a matter of setting a target humidity and letting it handle the rest. I tend to keep my basement around 32% humidity. That number might be lower than what some people prefer, but for my space it helped get rid of the musty smell and keep stored items from feeling damp. The controls are on the front. The display is easy to read, and I can tell at a glance what the current humidity is and whether the compressor is running. There is also an automatic mode behavior that I have come to rely on. When humidity rises above the level I set, it turns on and starts pulling moisture out. When it hits the target, it shuts itself down and waits. That matters in real life because humidity changes a lot across seasons. In winter, my basement air gets naturally drier, so the dehumidifier does not run much. In summer, it can run for long stretches. I like that I can leave the setting alone, and the unit adjusts its runtime based on what the space actually needs. Noise is always a question with dehumidifiers, especially if you plan to use one near a bedroom. In my basement, the sound has never been a problem. The fan is noticeable but steady, and the compressor has a mild buzz when it kicks on. I measured it around 50 decibels. In a completely silent room you will hear it, but in a basement, laundry area, or general living space with normal background sound, it is easy to live with. If you are extremely sensitive to low humming sounds, you will still know it is there. The way I judge performance is not by staring at the display all day. I judge it by whether the space feels and smells normal, and whether I stop worrying about mold or dampness. Over the years, this unit has kept my basement consistently dry enough that I am comfortable storing things again. Cardboard boxes stopped feeling soft. That damp odor faded and stayed gone as long as I kept the unit running during humid months. I also noticed fewer issues with that clammy feeling on fabric items and furniture. Maintenance has been minimal. The main thing is the air filter. There is a filter reminder light, and when it comes on, I pull the filter out and rinse it. That takes a couple of minutes, then I let it dry and slide it back in. Beyond that, I have not needed to do much. I wipe it down occasionally, and I make sure the hose connection stays secure. One limitation to be aware of is that this model does not have a built-in pump. That only matters if you need to drain water upward into a sink or out a basement window where the hose would have to climb. In my case, draining into the sump works perfectly, so I never needed a pump. If your home does not have an easy downhill drain option, you might need a different setup. Another practical downside is the water tank size. It is fine as a backup, but if you plan to use the tank as your main method, you will be emptying it often in a damp space. For me, this is a hose-first kind of dehumidifier. I also want to touch on that original sizing concern, because I think a lot of people deal with that. Even though my basement is much smaller than the rating, the unit did not wear itself out from constantly cycling. It ran when it had work to do and rested when it did not. I think that is the best outcome you can ask for. It does not feel like I had to babysit settings or constantly adjust it to keep it from acting weird. One more thing, there is no mobile app here and no phone control. For me, that has been completely fine. A dehumidifier is one of those appliances where I actually prefer simple controls on the device. Once I set my humidity level, I rarely touch the buttons again. If you are someone who really wants phone alerts or remote control, this is not that type of product. After living with it for years, my overall impression is that it has been a steady, low-effort solution for keeping a basement comfortable. It is easy to move, easy to set up with a hose, and easy to leave on automatic without thinking about it. It is not silent, the compressor can be heard, and the tank is not something I would want to rely on. But for my basement, it has done the job consistently, season after season, without drama. If you are dealing with a musty basement, a damp laundry area, or a large room that feels sticky in the summer, I think this type of unit makes sense, especially if you can run a hose for continuous drainage. If your space is smaller, it can still work without causing issues, based on what I have seen in my own setup. If you have questions about my setup, like where I routed the hose, what humidity level I keep, or what it sounded like in a real basement, leave a comment and I will try to help. If this video was useful, subscribe to the channel for more real-world reviews. Thank you for watching.